Hello everyone, very good morning. Today we are going to discuss about penetration testing. Okay, we all heard about penetration testing already. So in this video tutorial, we are going to discuss further more information about the penetration testing. Okay, so what generally the penetration testing is all about. Okay, consider there is an organization, so they have a strong network structure. Okay, they believe they have a strong network structure. So in order to check their security, check their strength on the network facility, they invite penetration testing into their organization. So usually organization can employ people who can do the penetration testing, but it will be like an expensive things for an organization to do that. Okay, so that's what organization, what they will do. They will invite some third party organization to come into their organization to perform the penetration testing. So few things about penetration testing is penetration testing is also called as pen test. So how it is performed? So this pen test will be performed by the tester in normally they are called as penetration testers. So what they will do, they will simulate attacks on organization network. Okay, but they will not do that by themselves. On the request of the owner of that organization or senior management people of the organization, they perform the penetration testing. For example, if you have an organization and you wanted to check how strong your network security is, right, you might not know that. So you will invite penetration testers and you will make them to test that on behalf of you. Okay, so they will follow certain rules and regulation to perform penetration testing that we will discuss in a short in the forthcoming slides. Okay, and then what they actually do, what is the objective of the penetration testing? Actually they perform penetration testing to measure organization resistance to an attack. Like in this modern era, right, everybody is dealing with technology every day. Everybody is vulnerable to attack. Each and every device that we are using is vulnerable to attack. So in order to measure the organization's resistance, we need to perform penetration testing. And other objective of the penetration testing is that it is mainly carried out in order to see how vulnerable our network is. So the objective of penetration testing is obviously vulnerability checking. So by doing penetration testing, what the penetration testers will come to know, or an organization will come to know in the sense, they will come to know TTPs of an attacker. What do you mean by TTPs in the sense? Technique, tactics, and the procedure. If an organization have a strong networking structure, attackers might try to enter the organization's network through several forms, through several medium. By performing this penetration testing, an organization or a penetration tester can come to know what are all the tactics, or what are all the techniques, or what are all the procedures that a penetration tester will use to come inside a network. Okay, so that's the introduction about the penetration testing. And penetration testing should be conducted periodically. For example, in a year, like you can perform penetration testing like quarterly, 6 months once. In that way, you can make sure your security is always safe. And usually organizations use the third party people to do the penetration testing. Okay, and also whenever penetration testing is carried out in an organization, the penetration testers will check all the important system in an organization. For example, servers and all the network ports, all the firewall, all the gateway. So whatever the routers, switches, right? So what are all considered to be a important component? Penetration testers will check that. Okay, and they will follow proper time and schedule. Okay, it is so important, like proper time, and they will schedule the penetration testing. They will not go and start to perform the penetration testing as like they want. Okay, they will properly schedule the time, because in the working hours, like in the working hours, if the penetration testers are performing the testing, it might bring down the productivity because penetration testing may utilize maximum bandwidth, and that will have a direct impact on the production, right? So this is the other thing, that they have to properly plan. Okay, and after doing all the penetration testing, they will submit a report mentioning what are all the vulnerabilities that that organization network is having, and also it will list the weakness, and they will provide some suggestions to overcome those vulnerabilities. Okay, fine. So to that continuation, they use, like penetration testers use four different steps. One is reconnaissance, exploitation, lateral movement, and report to management. What do you mean by reconnaissance? Reconnaissance means like reconnaissance means like what they will do, they will consider themselves as an attacker, and they perform attacks on the network. When they are perform on the when they perform network on the attack, then only they will come to know how strong the organization structure is, right? So that will be the first step. So the penetration testers, they will perform reconnaissance. Reconnaissance means they will consider themselves as an attacker, and they will attack the network. Okay, by doing that, what they will do, they will exploit the vulnerabilities and weakness of the network. Okay, by exploiting the vulnerabilities and weakness of the network, they will come to a conclusion about the most weakest point in the network. So later in their suggestion or reporting period, like they will mention all those things. Okay, and lateral movement means, for example, if a penetration tester performs an attack and he exploited the system and he came inside a system, he will wait in that system for a while, and he will try to move from that system to the other system. You mean like from a node to another node, and from that node to another node. He will try to reach the root node. So this concept is called as lateral movement. So he got access to a computer or any node, and he will wait in that node until he get the access to the other node. So that concept is called as lateral movement. Like they will check if they can do that lateral movement. Okay, if they can do that lateral movement, obviously the system, the network structure is not so strong enough. Finally, they will report, submit the report to the management about whatever they are going through. So penetration testing can be done in three different situations. Like they can start the penetration testing in three different situations. One is zero knowledge, partial knowledge, and full knowledge. Zero knowledge means penetration testers will not have any knowledge about the environment that they are going to test. Partial knowledge means they will have certain knowledge, like few knowledge about the testing environment, the target network. They might not know completely about that. And full knowledge in the sense they will know everything about the networking structure. They know where the server is, where the firewall is, what are all the IP address, and how many virtual LANs they have, how many subnets they have. They will know everything about it. So in this three method, like three situations, they perform the penetration testing. Okay, now after discussing the important points about the penetration testing, now we are going to discuss about rules of engagement. Like if a penetration tester wanted to perform penetration testing in an organization, how he can engage with that organization. There are certain rules. So we are going to discuss about it. The first rule is timing. Timing means, as I mentioned already, performing a penetration testing is really an expensive process. Okay, so an organization should allocate some budget to that. So when they have to properly schedule the penetration testing, otherwise, if an organization allow penetration testers to perform their process during the daytime, it might affect the production. If it is affecting the production, the profit of that organization might be dropped. So they should carefully plan that. And on the other hand, it need to be performed on the daytime working hours, so that penetration testers will act as an attacker, whereas the employees in that organization will act as a defenders. So in that way, that employees will come to know how to defend the attacks, how to protect themselves from the attackers. So it's kind of a hard, like we need some proper planning to make sure the penetration test is carried out in a way production is not lost. And at the same time, they have to plan for effective penetration testing. Okay. I have to, like, for example, consider like if they want to perform penetration testing during the weekend. So during the weekend, probably employees will not work, but penetration test can be done effectively, right? So on the other hand, the negative side of it, the employees will not come to know what kind of attack they might face, right? So timing is a most important thing to do the penetration testing. And then scope. Scope means like penetration testers should know which system should be tested and which system should not be tested. But it is very hard. For example, consider an organization is giving them a list of IP addresses, to be tested. But while doing the penetration testing, they might attack the system which is not in the given list. For example, consider a system like personal healthcare information. Penetration testers should not access that particular system. If they attack that system, it means they breached the confidentiality, right? So it properly, like the organization and the penetration testers should properly create the scope for the testing. Okay, so testers should clearly know which system should be tested and which system should not be tested. Okay, and then authorization. So penetration testers cannot go and perform penetration testing as they like to do that. Okay, they have to properly have a letter from the organization or any other senior people mentioning like they are allowed to test the system. So it can be provided to them in a form of a letter or form of a memo, like, okay, so so that letter is considered to be a get out of jail free card. Okay, so they can do whatever they want if they have that letter, like they have proper permission. Okay, they have that proper permission, so that is called as authorization. Along with that authorization, they should be provided with proper contact information. Sometimes some uncertain things might happen, like server might go down, they might not know completely about the server, so they should have the proper contact information so that they can call that respective person and they can ask for guidance. And then exploitation. The main purpose of the penetration testing is to exploit the vulnerabilities, right? So how they will exploit it, they might use a crafted software or certain kind of data, okay, or certain commands to exploit the system. So when you exploit the system, it might damage the computer completely or it might not damage the computer. Okay, so the working environment should be notified about it and they should have that idea in their mind. Okay, and it's the part of rule engagement. Okay, it's the part, because if an attacker attacks a system, that is bringing down the whole server down, so no production will be done on that day, right? So everybody should know what will happen if exploitation happen. Okay, and then proper communication, like the penetration testers should be notified, like who should they communicate in case of any uncertain things, like who know what and when. So that's the principal question. The penetration testers should know who know what and when to contact them. If a server goes down on Friday evening, so we cannot call a CPO, a CEO of a company at the midnight of Friday. You understand? So the penetration testers should have the information about who know what and when they can call them. Okay, so communication is so important. Okay, if as a penetration tester, if they are going to perform the attack, people working there should be notified. Okay, if there is no communication between the attackers and the defenders, so that test is called as double blind test. It means attacker will not know anything about the defenders, and defenders will not know that attackers are going to perform attacks. If they don't know, they cannot feel that the network structure is being attacked. Okay, so it will not create an effective penetration testing, right? So penetration testing will not be so effective. And finally, reporting. Reporting means after they finish all the penetration testing, they will submit a report which will have a step-by-step procedure or manual explaining how to mitigate risk in case of any uncertainties or attacks. And that particular report will be used as an input for the next scheduled I mentioned you already, penetration testing should be carried out periodically. So this will be used as the input. And finally, from the organization point of view, proper audit should be done. So they should make sure whether the penetration testers performed their duty correctly, whether they done that within the budget scope and the time scope. So everything should be calculated or audited properly in order to make sure the penetration testing was successful. So by this, I'm finishing this video. So this is all about penetration testing, guys. Okay, make sure to learn more about penetration testing. If you have any queries, please let me know in the comment. Okay, thank you so much, guys.